Hey you guys, welcome. Thank you for choosing to watch my video, for coming to see me. If you're brand new, just running across my videos, I'm glad you're here. Stick around, hit like and subscribe so you can see more of my stuff. And if you've watched my videos before, welcome back. Thank you for coming back and continuing to support me and watch my videos and check out my stuff and leave me comments. I really appreciate it, you guys. Um, Okay, we're going to get into talking about um, something I talk about quite a bit here on my channel, the Watts case, but we're going to get into a specific thing that I want to address today. And I'm sorry, you guys, I'm just doing a little bit of makeup, so bear with me. This is just going to be sort of a quick little talk, okay, just to get the ball rolling, and I may do a few more videos continuing it, and I'd really like to start going live soon. I really would, okay? I've tried it once before and I really just wasn't ready yet. I was going through a really hard time and, but if these topics do well, I really do want to start having more open discussions and really getting that vibe going, discussing some of these very important topics and getting the awareness going, like really feeling that, that back and forth connection. And it just makes all of our brains and our consciousness expand when we all learn from one another, especially on topics we're passionate about or that we care about. We can all learn from each other, okay? So, as always, my videos are only for educational purposes, only for spreading awareness. They are my personal thoughts, feelings, experiences, observations, that I want to share and spread. Okay. So let's put that there for legal reasons and, whatever. Always reach out to a professional if you need help. Okay. Medical, mental, whatever it is. Can't always take things into your own hands, and don't just listen to one person on the internet. Not even me, nobody. Don't just listen to one thing and take that to heart. Listen to many different things, do a lot of research, consult professionals if you need to. But always do your own research, okay? I need to tell you that. I'll always tell you that. So anyway, I want to talk about covert narcissism. Let's get it kicked off. Let's get on into it in this video, okay? I have a lot of experience with it, have a lot to say about it. And, it's exhausting having to backstep and go all into how I know, what are my credentials, how do I know what I know. You'll find a lot of that information in my other videos. But I am going to be referring, and sometimes, yes, people even ask me, well, why do you talk about, this case and then talk about your own personal stuff while you're talking about this case? That's just what I do. I may talk about a lot of things while I'm talking about my own personal experiences in life. I may refer to different people, different cases, things that I ran upon that gave me insight and wisdom into what I was living through. And, that's a way of analyzing and examining and seeing patterns in different things. That's just the way it is, okay? Or I'd be just like the next YouTuber. We're all different. You're going to get something a little different from each one, and you just have to find the ones that you like listening to, okay? And so that's why I do it like that. Because either way, I might be talking about my personal stuff, and that will jog a memory or remind me of something that I learned in the Watts case or some other case or some other situation, or vice versa. I may be discussing the Watts case or some other life story, and it reminded me of something that went on with me. And I think people take that a little too weird. I think they don't seem to understand what we can get out of all of that, okay? And life stories have always been my thing. I have always loved studying the lives of others, biographies, because people's lives genuinely inspire me. Finding out how they thought, what they were feeling at that time, how they grew up, what they went through, what they chose to do, what great things happened, what bad things happened. I'm truly inspired by other people. And I just love life stories and biographies, okay? Not to exploit, but to learn. So that's that. And we're going to get into this covert narcissism thing, which I For me personally, without a doubt, I believe Chris Watts was a covert narcissist. Now, we're all narcissists. We need to get the fundamentals of narcissism down, okay? A lot of times I think there's people that are unaware of what is that? What is that about? What is it? What is all that? So we need to get the fundamentals of narcissism down and realize that we are all narcissists and what the line is, okay? What pathological narcissism is versus healthy narcissism. We need to understand that. So we're going to get those fundamentals down. We're going to talk about covert narcissism, and we're going to talk about how it runs through Chris Watts, how that whole thing plays in. What is a covert narcissist? And there's a million different articles, teachers, researches out there. Do your best. Take in as much as you can, okay? And I'm going to recommend a couple of really great teachers and videos that I can vouch for. What they're saying is absolutely true because it happened to me. So we're going to get into that, covert narcissism and parts of the Watts case. And if you don't know what that is or what I'm talking about, there's plenty of information on the internet about it. It happened in 2018. Chris Watts murdered his pregnant wife and two other children. Horrible case that really gets into your heart, okay? But one of the main reasons, other than these beautiful, innocent lives, there's a lot of cases like that, unfortunately. But one reason is Chris Watts' personality. Chris Watts' personality. God, I could unload so much on you about the covert, snake, coward, narcissist, okay? Enough people don't know about this type of narcissist, and too many people are looking for the wrong people. And these cowards are getting away with what they're doing to people and how they're treating people. So we're kind of going to get into it and do an overview of covert narcissism and Chris Watts and what I personally feel. Okay, now I can't say for sure. A lot of times for legal reasons, we need to say allegedly. So what I am going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about what it was like for me living with a covert narcissist, what I learned, what I endured, what I experienced, bits and pieces, and what I personally think and I saw in the energy of that case after listening to Watts, watching his body language, listening to Shanann, taking in her body language, her energy, after diving deeply into this shit for years. What I can see inside that case and inside that woman and in her eyes and coming off of her and putting all the facts together, the history, the way they both grew up, their parents, everything together, I can say what I personally feel was, I feel like it was very much, Chris Watts was personality-wise very much like the man I had been living with for almost 7 years up until he passed away last year from cancer. We broke up 1 year before he passed away because I just couldn't take anymore. I loved this man very deeply, as I feel Shanann loved her husband very deeply. So we're going to get into it in kind of in that way. What covert narcissists are like behind closed doors. Primarily, I've had experience with covert narcissistic men, so we're going to be coming from that angle, but there are covert narcissistic women. There are narcissistic women of all types. You better believe it, okay? A lot of people's mothers are that way. A lot of times that's why a man has continued to grow into his own pathological narcissism, because his mother was abusive and she was a pathological narcissist of some kind, okay? Okay, so I wish I had already had my makeup finished because I feel rude just over here doing this. I know some people do their makeup the whole damn video and they make it a thing, makeup and talking or makeup and crime or whatever it is they do, but I'm not really talented at that. I just wanted to try and look at least a little bit decent coming on camera and not sitting here all washed out and whatever. Anyway, I'm glad you guys are with me. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I wanted to tell you guys before we get off into this? There was something. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to hit my vape. Oh, yes, before we get started, personally, I'm not going to go all back through what happened in this crime and all of that. But what makes it even more tragic is after this crime took place and this man smothered and brutally, viciously murdered his pregnant wife and children for a fling with a woman he had a fling with for 5 weeks. That's very typical of a covert narcissist, okay? What you have read or what you've not read, if you've read it in the text and the literature and the teachings, it's true. They will become obsessed with complete strangers. It is crazy. I've got to get this off my chest. I've got to start doing more videos about covert narcissism because I had many, many, many unfortunate years of experience with it, and it nearly ended my life, okay? I had some circumstances happen to me that were eerily, terrifyingly similar to Chris Watts, okay? Nothing near that severe. I cannot imagine what that family has gone through. I can't even wrap my mind around something like that. But we must talk about these personality types, and I feel that it is an obligation. It is a responsibility, and I've been sitting on it far too long, okay? And there are people that are trying to stop me. They're trying to keep my mouth shut. I feel like there's this energy all around me all the time that is trying to beat me down, break me down, make life so hard for me. I've lost everything. I'm here with my mother. I hardly get a chance to film. I'm trying to hurry up and do this before she gets in the apartment. I'm going to get this stuff out. It's a responsibility. I need to do it, not only for myself and what I've lived through, but for people like Shanann and Bella and CC Watts, innocent people who didn't even have a chance, who didn't even know really what the hell they were involved with the man they loved and trusted, and for other people who have had this happen in their life or might be involved with somebody like that right now, and they don't have the knowledge. I'm going to tell you, when it first comes into your life, you're going to think you're crazy. You have to be very prepared for these people, these cowards, these particular types, especially because you don't see them coming. You have to be very knowledgeable, very aware, keep that brain very sharp, okay? Because they are going to try to drive you insane. They get a kick out of it, okay? There's a lot to know about the covert narcissist. And yes, by all means, please get it from professional sources, like I said. Please do your research, but it doesn't hurt a damn thing for you to hear the stories and the information also coming from survivors, victims, and people who have lived with these covert narcs firsthand. Because I'm going to say it like this. The psychologist can only tell you so much. Just like my therapist. I respect her work. I've known her since I was a child. She helped me get the basics in my life that I really needed to survive and overcome a traumatic upbringing. But the thing is, she has not ever walked where I've walked. She only has so much knowledge from a book, from her studies, and from her life and frame of reference. She hasn't been through the traumatic abuse that I have. She wasn't raised with pathological people. She hadn't attracted that into her life as an adult woman and partners and relationships, and grew up with it and her parents and mental illness in her family, and having to see and learn and navigate that every day behind the scenes, what they're really like. So you get what I'm saying? Yes, by all means, respect the professionals and get what you can from them. But a lot of times their knowledge only goes so far. So you damn right it helps to listen to the folks that know what's up behind the scenes, and they've seen these manipulative fuckers in action behind closed doors, okay? And also, I wanted to say that most of you know that this case is even more tragic because of how it was treated. Because of how Chris Watts lied on his wife, which is another trademark of a covert narcissist. I need to do bullet point, a little list here, but that's You can get that from someone else's very formal video. I just kind of have to get it out how it comes out. But that's another trademark of the covert narcissist, is they desperately want to be seen as the nicest guy, the best guy. Did I still do okay? Am I a good boy? I can give you so much insight into the male covert narcissist. And I don't think the female covert narcissist would be much different. So it applies to both, okay? Apply it how you need. It's just I had more experience with the males. Now, my mother's very highly narcissistic to a pathological, toxic degree. She has a personality disorder too. So it's like, Booker, hold on, I'm going to take you out in a minute. Hold on, guys, I'm sorry. Come on. I had to check on my dog, you guys. I'm sorry. Okay. Both my parents had personality disorders and very high narcissism. Very high narcissism. So anyway, the covert, though, their trademark and their signature is very different from what you might be used to. A lot of grandiose classic narcissists are out in the open. They don't give a shit about how they look to you. They don't care if you think they're nice. They don't care if you think, they just go on about, there's something to be said for that grandiose classic, though. They're not as wormy and cowardly and, I have to say, pathetic sometimes as the cowardly covert. And that is the category Chris Watts fell right into, okay? That covert has a different wound a lot of times, and it was handled in a different way than the grandiose. That covert is more like, think of a toxic codependent clinging to your leg. I need you, I want you, but yet they're not really connecting to you at all. But this obsessive, people-pleasing, feet-licking, I'll do anything you say, I'll be anything you want, I'll agree to anything. Think of them as more of the toxic codependent acting, okay? They have a whole different vibe as a narcissist. Their narcissism is hidden. They don't even feel comfortable enough to be a fucking narcissist. They don't even, they have these huge inferiority complexes, okay? We're going to get into all that shit later. But I'm going to say this. What makes that case even more tragic is how it was treated. Of course, Chris Watts lied on his wife, said that after he planned this whole shit out, first he tried to make her miscarry by giving her drugs and oxycodone and things like that while pregnant. He thought that if he could make her lose their baby son, that would please his new fling. A 5-week fling, mind you. Now, why am I so passionate about this? Why does it hurt so much? I ran across Shanann and her story while I was still living with the man that I loved, my fiance. We were still smack dab in the middle of our relationship, except he was off at rehab getting treatment. He was very sick the whole time we were together. He had lost a child. He was severe alcoholic, covert narcissism, childhood trauma, all of this shit, and 40-something years old going on with him. Anyway, I ran across Shanann and her story. And I was very alone at that time while he was gone away. And her story enlightened me to so much. Just by studying this case and the demeanor of Chris Watts and what Shanann and everything that led up to everything, and Cindy Watts and the family and all the facts, all the figures, everything. Shanann's spirit, basically, I almost felt her. I felt her like a sister. And I felt like there was no coincidence that I ran upon her case during that time, because I knew I was involved with somebody who was tormenting me. He might not have violently attacked me from out of nowhere and laid hands on me, but this man was twisting me inside out. He was twisted and deranged and chaotic and disturbed and abusive and had all of these things going on. But he also had a good side to him that I loved very much, almost like a fragile little child. One of the main things I want to clue you guys in on is how the covert narcissist, for sure, comes into your life most of the time and puts you in the position to be their mother. The male covert narcissist wants you to be their mother, their caretaker, and their mother. It's very twisted. You won't even know what the hell is happening. You will go along with it because you will hope that it's going to change. I've got a lot to get into in that regard, okay? And I'm going to tell you about a very great video by Professor Sam Vaknin, who claims to be a narcissist. He is a professor of psychology, and he claims to have full-on narcissistic personality disorder, and he gives out a lot of insight. And this is a very great video about how the narcissist wants you to be their mother, okay? I will put that link in my description so that you guys can check some of this stuff out, because I want to spread this knowledge. Why I'm so passionate about this, again, Shanann's story came to me and the girls at that time where I was mixed up in something that I had already been catching on to this man's ways, and it was just so perplexing to me. I didn't really know what it was, and I was pretty psychologically well versed, having been raised in trauma and around predators and criminals and freaking studying psychology all my life, but even I didn't know what the fuck hit me when I got involved with a covert narcissist. And I'm still not the same. They will destroy your life. If you come out of it alive, okay? Unfortunately, someone like Shanann and her daughters weren't fortunate enough to come out of it alive. By the time she even started becoming aware of what this man was capable of, how deranged he really was, it was too late. It was too late. Most of us get away. Most of them will not go to the lengths Chris Watts went to. But they will make you feel like they have everything about you will be destroyed. Your life, your emotional well-being, your mental well-being. You will be physically exhausted, near sick. So many people have reported it breaks you so badly, turns you inside out. It is so fucking twisted and so fucking wrong what these cowards do. And nobody knows it except their wife. Nobody knows it except their partner. Man or woman, nobody knows it except the targeted person. Not their mama, daddy, sister, brother, best friend for 30 years. Nobody else will ever see that side of them because you have been targeted. You have been specially picked. And I'm going to get into that stuff later on too, about how it's different. We all see different sides of people because there's a sexual element involved. You are going to see the absolute most vulnerable, and good and bad, you're going to see some of the most triggered parts of your man or your woman, not their mother. They're going to show that to their mama, their grandpappy, their kids, their friends. No. You're going to see shit that gets triggered up between two people being sexual. That's right. That's why you will have a whole different relationship and knowledge of that man than any other person on earth, depending on how many years you stay together. Yes, you will, or woman, you will have the knowledge of them, okay, that nobody else has. So these people out here talking out their ass about Shanann, they don't know. I wanted to make that very clear. I'm very passionate about this case for many, many reasons. And I discovered a lot. I learned a lot. And I swore after I learned about this case and realized even more what I was living with and what covert, finding her, our cases weren't exactly the same. Clearly not. I'm still here. I still have a voice and a life. And she doesn't. And it breaks my heart. But it pushed me to realize that, oh my God, you need to speak while you can. You still have a voice. You can speak for people like yourself and Shanann. You can say these things. You have that deeper insight into very similar things that you're picking up on that clearly the way everything looks leading up to their deaths, murders, the way he set things in motion, his actions, his choices, his new fling, his obsessions, all those things, clearly I can see the covert narcissist. I can see certain things and I can give out what I know about my experience living with one of those types of people behind closed doors, and what I personally believe Shanann Watts was going through behind closed doors for many years before these murders ever took place, and what she was having to deal with and cope with and cover for and carry his ego, and she was doing the best she fucking could with it. Hell yes, it frustrates you. Hell yes, it pisses you off. And a lot of these men out here talking about this case, well, boy, I wouldn't put up with her trying to spend my money, and she's so bossy and blah, blah, blah. You don't know shit. You don't know shit. If you could be a fly on the wall with a covert narcissist and his fucking wife, you would vomit. You wouldn't call him any kind of man, honey. You wouldn't, your whole perception would be, you would be so fucking confused. You would literally vomit. You would laugh. You would be like, what the fuck? That's not a man. That's a child. Look at how he's treating her. Look at the way that dude acts. You wouldn't be able to believe your fucking eyes if you could be a fly on the wall behind closed doors. It's not what you think, homeboy, homegirl. It's not what you think at all. That's the way those cowardly covert narcissists set it up, so that they look like the widow victim. And anyone else besides them who's more motivated, more outgoing, more outspoken, or just downright fed up with their shit, who's had to be behind closed doors wiping their ass and picking up after, and oh my God, dealing with their tantrums and the shit they put you through. Until you live that, you don't have nothing to say. You don't know. And so I don't hear a lot of knowledge of this. Just recently, is there more and more knowledge coming out about it? I don't know why. I have grieved it. I have been angry about it. Why the fuck I was hand selected to go through that with somebody and have this inner wisdom and knowledge, but I have it. And I'm not going to keep it inside. I'm going to share it so that other people can become empowered and they can sharpen their mind and they can know what they're involved in and what's coming for them, possibly. Okay? Okay, that's how it is. Oh boy, this heat is too hot in this bathroom, you guys. And here's what I feel. Personally, anybody sitting up bashing Shanann Watts, that's what I wanted to say, and I kept cutting myself off. That case was even more tragic because after he blamed his wife and said that she was responsible, the reason he did what he did is because she killed the children in a fit of rage. I mean, it is so unfair how they destroy you, break your heart overnight. It's like they just wake up a different person the next day. You want to know why? Because they were never completely all the way connected to you the whole marriage, the whole time. They have some wires loose. They have some brain damage. They are not, a part of their brain is not all the way developed. They are not emotionally mature, and they usually have very low emotional intelligence. They are not connecting to you in an emotionally deep way that a normal person who loves you would connect. And one day, they will turn. Something will trigger them, whether they're not getting their way, or they get bored, or you know too much about them. Oh, I can tell you guys so much, and I'm going to start doing it in many, many videos, and I may even start going live on occasion because this stuff needs to get out. I know other people are doing other levels of videos, and, you know, they've healed this, and they don't talk about it anymore, but that's okay. I haven't gotten my shot at sharing everything I need to share about it from my perspective that I think people need to know. Anyone bashing Shanann, though, that's what happened. He blamed her. The media got all in a frenzy. It got out to the world. That's what he tried to tell detectives, that his wife killed the children in a fit of rage, so he killed her. Okay, well, and there's a reason. We've talked about it. I've explained it. There's a reason why he said that, because the detectives fed him a line to get him to go ahead and confess. That they trained people know when they're dealing with somebody who has a weak mind and who is easily fed a bone. So they threw his ass one and he bit it. So for these fucking asshats out here that are bashing Shanann and upholding Chris and saying he was tricked and railroaded, no, honey, the motherfucker was caught, is what he was. And he fucked around and had to deal with some very trained professionals and detectives, and his ass was caught. He wasn't tricked. He wasn't any of those things. They used very valid and professional psychological techniques to get the truth. They knew, they could see. That's the fucking thing of it. Just like I could always see through my partner, and I'm not even a detective. I always knew those kindergarten antics, and I would have to, walk on eggshells, and I would have to word things in a certain way that would lift his ego while extracting the harsh truth. It's a twisted mess when you're dealing with a damaged covert narcissist, okay? They knew all this shit. They knew he was guilty. They could tell by all of it. His hesitation, his words. People who are trained, they just know, okay? And so they gave him that, and he bit it. That tells you he's a fucking liar right there. None of this, he was scared, and no, he was a fucking liar, okay? So they knew they were dealing with a classic covert narcissist, and eventually, after they got the first confession, they just wanted to know where the girls were. They wanted him to confess, just at least get that much out, that he had a part in it, and they already knew he was guilty of the whole thing, but they needed to at least find the girls, okay? That was most important. So they got the first part out, and then within a couple of days, he went on and admitted what they knew all along, that he was a guilty-ass fool, a horrible fucking person who did all this. And they knew it, but it was too late. It got out in the media. And why? Why don't you fucking people stand corrected? After 2 to 3 days, when his confession was released, the second confession, why on earth did you people keep going after that woman and her family? I don't understand. When it's not right, when the wrong people are judged and ridiculed and smeared, and you've got to be a part of ending that. You've got to be a part of spreading awareness on that, or you're part of the damn problem, okay? So, I don't know why everybody just didn't, hey, that's it. Why people went so fucking insane over this, and all their little, turning on that woman and her family, and ridiculing her every little move as a human being to this day. But that's what happened. That's what's even more tragic about it. Because the narcissist strikes again because of something he fucking said to get the heat off of him, as they always do. She may forever and ever be ridiculed. Will her name ever be clear? She had nothing to do with the murder of her own children. And it is so disgusting and wrong. And I want to put that out there, as I always have. You are disgusting if you bash that woman. And personally, I think people who bash Shanann, or most of them, are phony anyway. Honestly, I don't think they really care. I don't think they really have anything against her. I don't think they really even believe what they're coming up with to have against her. I think they're creating all those narratives for money. Yeah. Her family knows that. Everybody knows that. I think they're a bunch of phony ass-tards. Yeah. I don't think they even are passionate about their claims or where they're coming from. They don't even make any sense, most of them. I think the people going after Shanann and speaking of her the way they do, and so disrespectfully towards her and her family, I think they're a bunch of clown ass-tards, and they're all phony. And basically, they're just doing it for hits to their YouTube. They're doing it to make money. That's it. You know how some people will do any old clown ass shit, and they'll say just about anything these days to get hits and likes and money, and they'll misspell words even. They will say the wrong things. They're doing it on purpose. I don't think they even feel what they're claiming. I don't think they could care less. They're not even passionate about this case. And that's horrible enough. So let's move on. More into the covert narcissistic stuff. And then I'm going to have to cut this video because it's getting awfully long. And I didn't intend for it to be so long. But you can bet your ass I'll be back in a part 2. And we're going to discuss some more of this, okay? So, one of the main things I wanted to get across is that a covert narcissist, very often, especially the male covert narcissist, will turn you into his mother. He will force you into this role. If you don't accept it, you will be punished. And what I mean by punished is he will have tantrums. He will wait until you are completely emotionally invested in him, devoted to him. And then you will, it's called the bait and switch. Now, for part 2, I will go ahead and do a little write-up of the covert narcissistic personality and a list of 1 to 20 certain characteristics or whatever that you will commonly see. And then I will refer back on each example to something that Chris Watts did, an example of his actions to explain what I mean, or an example that happened that I lived with in part 2. But yeah, they turn you into their mother, and they will punish you by starting to act out, tantrums. After you're completely emotionally invested and they don't have to worry about you getting away anymore, you will see a completely different side of this person. You will not even believe your eyes or your ears. And you will feel almost secondhand embarrassment, like, I had no idea. They hide that from you, that they are not mentally all the way developed. Now, I didn't say they weren't intelligent. They can be very educated. They can be very intelligent. They can memorize things. They can carry out tasks, but they're very robotic. And when it comes to emotional depth and empathy, and you can forget it. They've been blocked out somehow for a very, very long time. Most of them due to some traumatic event in their childhood. And I have my thoughts and feelings and theories on Chris Watts' childhood as well, and how his mother treated him and that whole interaction there. There's something very, very deranged and very, very remote and detached about Chris Watts that I feel like must have come from his childhood. And Sloan Bella from sloanbella.com, another one of my favorite people on YouTube, she actually has 2 different videos on the Watts case that you can also check out, getting into the strangeness of Chris's energy from a spiritual perspective, okay? But yes, they will immediately after you have become invested in them. And in the beginning, you're going to be kind of taken aback. You're going to be what a normal, healthy woman would always do. Slow down. Let's get to know one another. And generally, the covert narcissistic male is going to act like an overzealous, overgrown puppy. Anything. I'll do anything. I'll say anything. Yeah. And, you have to slow down, okay? You take your time because you know that once you have invested your heart, it's fucking real. It's there to stay. It's authentic. It is deep. And you don't want your heart broken. So you take your time like any normal, healthy human being would do. We'll get into that in part 2 as well. Shanann tried to slow things down a bit. She broke dates sometimes because she was sick. She was at a time in her life where she was trying to get herself together. She just discovered she had medical and health issues. And here's this overzealous puppy, Chris Watts. I got a girl. And I think that he'd only had one other relationship in his life. And unfortunately, that person used him to make her ex-husband jealous. That is what I have read in several articles pertaining to his love life before Shanann. Basically, he was fresh out of mommy's house. He had not had any experience like Shanann had. He was extremely immature, underdeveloped. But hey, sometimes we fall for men like that, not knowing, because they put up a very sweet, kind, positively and healthily vulnerable, caring demeanor. They go overboard, they overcompensate, and those should always be red flags to you. For instance, the way she said, he let me sleep on his lap for 4 hours, having to pee, and never got up to do it because he didn't want to disturb me. That's not an endearing quality. That's a codependent, people-pleasing fuckhead. That is a major red flag and a major toxic watch. That dude is going to end up being one of the worst people who treats you so fucking awful. You see the tricks I'm talking about? Learn to discern. 9 times out of 10, if somebody is yeah, like an overzealous puppy in your life coming at you, and they are too good to be true, and they're overcompensating, and they're just going way out of their way to do things that normal humans wouldn't really pay attention to, that because those people are generally the exact opposite of what they are trying so hard to convince you that they are. See, those of us who are real and authentic, and we walk the walk, okay, we don't have to try. We don't have to try like they do. Poor things. The poor, cowardly, covert narcissist. It's just sickening. I could say so much about them. I have so much information. But you know, here's what I try to avoid, even though I do get pissed off and I like to say things and vent every once in a while. And I don't want to make this about some drama fest, some bash fest. I want to make it definitely, I am interested and passionate about the education and the knowledge and the expansion of all of our minds and consciousness. And that thrills me to think that people are growing in their awareness and they are fully prepared for these fucks. Okay. But that's what the covert narcissist does. They get into your life. They want to make you into their mother. It is a secret. It's almost like a secret society. It's almost like a cult leader. Oh, yeah. We got to get this knowledge out about these fools. Okay? It is some shit. And so, tragically, that case, nothing was ever the same after Chris tried to point the blame at his wife. It wasn't bad enough that he took her life and the children's lives and all of these things and broke her heart, devastated and tormented her before her death. Wasn't enough. Okay. And I know I'm skipping around bits and pieces of the case, but you know, that's not what this video is really about, to give you the whole case. It's out there. You can look it up. But yeah, he did all these things, but that wasn't enough. He had to go and smear her name after her death even. And it's never been the same since. She has a group of people that are constantly hating on her, saying horrible things about her and her family. I didn't mean for this video to get so long, but that's what they do. They come into your life and they pull a bait and switch. And so I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write kind of from A to Z in a brief summary of their little tactics. And I will give all that to you in the second video. And how you are punished. And I'll give you some of my experiences when my partner of so many years became obsessed all of a sudden with some new fling that he did not know, a complete stranger, and did the exact same thing, except I got away. I was able to survive. He also grabbed me by my throat. Oh yeah, it was horrifying what he turned into in that last year. Broke my heart, devastated me for nothing, for a complete stranger, and now he's gone from this earth. He knew he was dying. There's something about a pathologically narcissistic person who is to the toxic end of the spectrum. Earlier in the video, I talked about healthy levels of narcissism. Those are good. We need some. But we're discussing pathological narcissism and people to the toxic end. And, oh yeah, I'm sick of it. I am sick of narcissistic abuse. I've been sick of it. I've been around it since I was a child and working very hard to break those patterns of being abused by people like that or falling into their traps. But the covert narc is the worst. And I will put in my description box a link to Professor Sam Vaknin's video. And if you want to check that out, that will give you some very deep insight into the covert narcissist and how they force you to be their mother. And then they resent you and blame you for it. And naturally, nobody wants to sleep with their mother. Naturally, if you can't win in that situation, you discover that you are in a no-win situation. You have fallen in love with and deeply love someone that, oh my God, you are forced to play this role in which they hate. They hate you for it. They resent you for it. It hurts their little ego, but they force you into the role. I'm going to tell you guys all about it coming up in part 2. And that's the only way they'll accept you, though. If you don't play the role, you will be punished, or they will look for someone else. They will cheat. They will throw tantrums. They will make your life a living hell. They have all these passive-aggressive ways that they work, though. They don't work in your face like a grandiose narc. Oh, no, they don't have the guts for that. No. They have all kinds of snaky, underhanded, passive-aggressive, subtle ways that they torment you at home behind the scenes and make your life a living fucking hell. And you are always having to expend energy to set a boundary with them, remind them of their boundaries, reprimand them. It's like raising another child. Shanann had enough on her plate. These people don't seem to understand. They would have no clue unless they had lived through it. So, all right, guys, I'm going to clip this and I'm going to start working on part 2. I'm going to get everything written down about the covert narcissism and some of the things I experienced and some of the things I think went on between Chris and Shanann and what these fuckers do behind closed doors. And in the meantime, please check out Professor Sam Vaknin's video. Also, another woman I want to mention, she is a social worker who has a channel called Live Abuse Free. I feel that it is my responsibility. It's part of my purpose. It makes me feel full of purpose and makes me feel good to spread this kind of knowledge. Live Abuse Free. I highly recommend that you check out her channel. She, among lots of other cases, broke down the Watts case very thoroughly. And I learned so much about covert narcissism from her channel. And one thing that she said stuck out very, very much with me when she said, you cannot make anyone murder you. I don't care how bad you are. You cannot make anyone into a murderer. Because there were people on Facebook earlier, blah, 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 this and blah, 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 that. And so-and-so said that Shanann drove him to murder her and the children. And this one man was like, I'll be damned if I would come home listening to my wife bitching and bossing me around. And they just drove him crazy and now he's in prison for it. Are you out of your douchebag mind? I mean, come on. Douchey MacDouche. Are you kidding me? Have some respect for the deceased. Put some respect on her name when you talk about her. How about that? Anyway, so y'all, I'm fierce about this shit. This is one case and one person that I am fierce about defending because I fucking know what it's like behind the scenes. up until the point of what happened to that woman and her children losing their lives. I know what it's like behind the fucking scenes to live with something like that. That man, Chris Watts, and his whole toxic family. I know what it's like to be stuck in that and not knowing that's what you're getting involved in. So yeah, I was hearing all these things and all these comments, and so-and-so drove him to do and this and that. Like the social worker on Live Abuse Free channel said, you cannot ever, 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 no matter how selfish, no matter how irritating, no matter how bad you are, no matter what you do, you cannot make someone a murderer. You can't. You can't. And these fools out here talking like that, basically they're implying that, oh, well, if she was selfish, if she was bossy, if she spent too much money, you know, it's okay that he committed familicide because she was irritating and bossy. And that's how we handle this. Are you people out of your damn minds? Get a grip. You can't make anyone a murderer. So it had nothing whatsoever to do with Shanann and the girls. Nothing. Nothing. Normal people who aren't deranged, who don't have some form of psychopathy, and definitely high pathological narcissism. You know, most sociopaths, psychopaths, and all that are narcissists to the pathological edge. And most normal people who aren't deranged, who don't have some goo-goo gaga shit going on in their brain that they haven't resolved, no coping skills, most normal healthy people will walk away from being mistreated. It's too stressful. I'm not into this marriage anymore. I don't want this life anymore. Whatever it is, most normal healthy people can confront the situation and fucking get a divorce, walk away, deal with it like an adult. They wouldn't sit there and pick their goddamn boogers and scratch their ass and laugh like Beavis and Butthead, you fucking clown, Chris Watts and his followers, and fucking go to choke their pregnant wife and smother their baby daughters, you fucking clown. What a clown. No, only deranged people do that, okay? You can't make someone a murderer, no matter how bad you are, no matter how much you piss them off. We all get pissed off, boy, sometimes where we just want to smack something. Who hasn't been that pissed off? But you don't, because we have self-control, because we have emotional intelligence, okay? So, Live Abuse Free, she breaks a lot of this stuff down and reinforces it. You need the knowledge. Don't let people argue with you. Don't let people back you into psychological corners. Sharpen your tools and your weapons, your mind, your knowledge, okay? Listen to people who reinforce that, okay? There's a lot of toxic fucks out here. And they will come for you. They will try to back you into corners. And it could be your own family. It could be your own blood. Because I've lived through that too. It could be the partner you love. So I'm just saying, be prepared, be educated, be knowledgeable, and be aware. So check out Live Abuse Free. Check out her take on the Watts case, her professional opinions and expertise on things and her knowledge. And remember, no, for those people looking at it that way, there's nothing you can do to make someone a murderer. It makes those people look really dumb, diddy dumb when they talk that way. It makes them look really ignorant. It makes me wonder about their IQ and their EQ and their emotional intelligence and every other drop of intelligence that they might have, that they don't have, because you can't do anything, I mean nothing, to make somebody a murderer, period. Unless you're backing that person into a damn corner, threatening to take their life, and they have absolutely no other choice in the world, there you go. And then they could say, well, that's the way Watts felt because they were driving him crazy, cooking for him, and the little girls running around the house and screeching, and they all needed money, and are y'all out of your damn minds? He's the abnormal one for not being able to cope with his family. Don't you get it? He's the abnormal one for getting some obsession. That's exactly what my partner did. Here's how we covert narcissists cope with things. We'll show you. We'll go get a weaker minded fucking dumbass girl that we can push around, somebody that doesn't know us and praises us and treats us better than you. Aren't we high and mighty? And we'll just discard you. We'll compete with you, or worse, have the fucking narcissism, the audacity to think they can take your life, which is very rare, very rare. Watts is a rare deranged man, a rare deranged case. Although we do hear of a lot of cases like this, but it's not every day. It's not every day we hear stuff like this. So, check out those two channels, Professor Sam Vaknin, How the Narcissist Wants You to Be Their Mother. I'll put the exact links, okay? In fact, I'll put both of them. I'll go over to Live Abuse Free. I'll put the link to the video of her breaking this down in my description box. And I'll also put Professor Sam Vaknin's video in the description box for you as well, okay? I'm very passionate and very serious about this, and I'm trying to get better and better about working on my channel and providing this knowledge and following through with the things I need to follow through with. I really appreciate you guys for watching and supporting and not giving up on me. It's been several years I've been working on this channel, and it means so much to me. It's all I really have left in this life. I've been through a lot of hell myself, and I feel like I have a lot to offer and a lot to share. So thanks for watching, you guys. Stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to get it prepared, okay? And I will have a lot more to get into coming up, okay? Thanks again for being here.